Hey Audio Engineering, this is Mr. Goldschmidt, and today we're going to talk about writing melodies. Today, on our way to writing melodies, we need to learn about scales and modes. Scales are the bases that we use to write our melodies, and modes are what we can think of different versions of that scale. So to learn more about this, we're going to visit this website. It's called learningmusic.ableton.com, and this is put out by a really high-end music software company called Ableton. They make a product called Ableton Live, and this is a really great website for learning about many of the musical concepts we need to know when working with our audio production software. So I've already opened up the website here. And today we're learning about modes. Modes we can think of are different versions of a scale. In this case, we're going to start off with our C major scale. And the C major scale starts on C using our MIDI keyboard, and it uses only the white keys all the way up to high C. So it sounds like this: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now you can see this little diagram up above shows a piano keyboard and only the white keys that are being pressed down. The C major scale is what we call the Ionian scale. So the C major scale uses the intervals written out here on our keyboard, and it only uses C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's the first version of our scale. Then we're going to get into our modes. So the second mode that we have is called the Dorian mode, and the way we create that is we start, instead of starting on D, we use our C major scale using only white keys, but starting on D, and it sounds like this. And you can see I have D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So we've taken our C major scale and shifted everything up and started on D. And that's called the Dorian mode. Then we have what's called the Phrygian mode, where everything starts on, using only the white keys, we start on E. Then we have the Lydian mode, where we shift up again and start on F. Then we have Mixolydian, which we shift everything up to G, only using those white keys, and play the scale G to G. Then we have the Aeolian mode. Also, we call that the minor mode, and we're going to be using this one later on today, where we start on A and using only the white keys play up to A. Then we have the B scale. In this case, it's the Locrian scale, and it starts on B and plays up through B using only the white keys on the keyboard. Down here is a really cool tool that you can play around with today and experiment with the different scales. So here's our C major Ionian scale, and you can play this. Then we can go up to the D Dorian scale and see where it is on the keyboard. The E Phrygian scale using only white keys. The F Lydian scale. The G Mixolydian scale. The A, and I'm going to go down here to the Aeolian scale, which is the other one we're going to be using today. And then finally the B Locrian scale. Now let's jump back into Soundtrap. To get into Soundtrap today, we're going to use this link. Today we're going to be composing two separate melodies. Our first melody is going to use the C major Ionian scale. The second melody we're going to create is going to use the A minor Aeolian scale. Both of these scales only use white notes on the piano. So the C major scale starts and ends on C, and the A minor Aeolian scale starts and ends on A. Some ideas to build this melody is we can play around until you find something you like. You can take a part of a favorite song and put a twist on it, or you can combine multiple ideas, or even ask a friend. So the steps here today are we're going to click on this link and it'll open up our project. After that, we can add a virtual instrument track and choose any instrument you want as long as it's a melodic instrument. So we're looking at pianos, synthesizers, things like woodwind or brass instruments as well are fine. Optionally, you can pick a drum track or two that you want to create a melody along with, but that's an option. You do not have to do that. We're going to set our metronome to 85 or slower if needed. You can always turn it up after you record, but if you're comfortable recording at a faster tempo, that's perfectly fine. Parameters. Each melody must be at least 8 measures long or longer. You can record 1 to 2 measures at a time if that helps, or you can try the whole thing all at once. Most importantly, stay in time with the beat of the metronome. So as you hear that click on the metronome, you have to stay in time. After that, you need to quantize to make sure everything fits in perfectly. Then we're going to line up these melodies in sequence, one after the other, with about a measure of space in between, That way when I grade it, I can listen to the first one, then straight into the second one. Feel free to add drums in the background to match your melody. That's perfectly fine. And then we're going to turn this in on Google Classroom. Alrighty, I'm in Soundtrap, and I've changed the name of this Writing Melodies to adding my name at the end. Make sure that you guys do that, and that way it makes it much easier to grade and find your assignment that you're working on. At the moment, I've got a grand piano loaded in, and today I'm just going to be using the keys on my keyboard, on my computer keyboard, to play this scale. So my first melody is going to be in C major. So I'm going to start and end on C. So I'm using my keyboard on my computer, so I'm just using these particular keys on my computer keyboard to create the C major scale. Now as I record, I can record in any fashion that I want, starting with any of those keys, but mainly I want to start and end on C since I'm playing my C major, since I'm using the C major scale to create my melody. I'm going to go ahead and go in and start a recording. In this case, I'm just going to record the C major scale, but I want you to create your own melody using those notes. Alright, I've finished that recording, and I'm going to shorten it up and make it right at 8 measures because that's how long I want these to be. It can be longer as well, but you certainly don't want it shorter. I'm also going to go in and quantize, and since I used quarter notes, I can quantize the quarter notes or anything smaller than quarter notes. So I'm going to just go ahead and select 8th notes there, and it quantized my recording. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start my second recording using the A minor scale. So I'm going to create a region over here for me to start with. And my A minor scale needs to start and end on A. So I'm going to use this A and using this Jeepers Creakers sound. I have my A minor scale, the Aeolian scale, ready to go. And so I'm going to record this melody in. I've got my metronome on. I'm going to hit record. Oop. And I've got that recorded in. I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. Going to quantize this to 8th notes, and I have my 2 melodies in. Now these are just scales. I want you to be more creative with your melodies. Play around with the different notes that are available to you. Create a melody that you are happy with. Once you are finished with that, you can save, and then we're going to turn this in on Google Classroom.